I grew up in Canada, and I wanted to go and do my undergraduate degree in Canada. And most of the programs there that are focused on business are quite commerce and finance heavy. And that wasn't really what I was looking to do. So I did social psychology as my major, and then German studies because I am and my family is German, with the intention of using that as background knowledge to then one day study marketing. So once I finished my undergraduate degree, I took some time off. I lived in Germany for a year, and then I looked into marketing degrees.
Awesome. That's great. And I'm sure you must have, when you did decide to do the master's program, I'm sure you must have been searching different universities. So what was it about ESEI that made you finally decide to choose us for this program?
It was, partially because I knew that I wanted to study abroad, so I was exclusively looking in Europe. And then I narrowed that down a little bit by looking for cities, A, that I wanted to live in, and B, that had opportunities for internship in what I wanted to do, so in marketing and digital. And then I wanted to study in English, and that ultimately narrowed it down to a couple schools in Barcelona and in Amsterdam. And then I started looking at programs more specifically, and I really liked the size of ESEI, because my undergraduate university in Canada was about 30,000 students. So in my psych graduating class, for example, I was one of 400 students. So it's a very different experience than being in a smaller school, and I wanted to have that smaller school experience for my master's. And then I also really liked the project-based learning, and B, the program description and the course description, because I found that a lot of marketing programs nowadays are very heavy on the digital side, which is obviously important, but at least for me, I wanted to learn more than simply, this is how you set up Google Ads, this is how you make them succeed. And ESEI so I'm in the marketing communications major, it really gave that sort of rounded experience that I was looking for.
Awesome, that's great. And what did you think after the first semester at ESEI?
Definitely so it's project-based learning. I found it kind of depends on the course, how much your professors want you to do week by week and how much is simply what you turn in at the end. So for that first semester, the courses definitely pick up at the end, and you're a lot busier than you were at the beginning. But I also found that I didn't have a huge background in marketing. I had taken one intro course in my undergraduate, but that was it. So with that first semester and having to create a 60-page marketing report, I had no idea what I was doing, and I really relied quite a bit on my teammates, some of whom had studied marketing in their undergraduate degrees, or they had worked in the field, and they sort of knew more what a report has to include, what you have to do. So I found the first semester to be a very steep learning curve of going from no idea what a marketing report consists of to being fairly confident with creating one on my own. So it was definitely, I think second semester has been a bit more just solidifying skills, where first semester was a whirlwind of information.
All right. Okay. And what about, tell me about your favorite modules or professors, no? What would you say has been the most awesome class or module that you've attended so far?
I think my favorite one so far has been digital marketing, with Tim Kakir, who actually had a webinar last week, I believe. But he's a really interesting guy. He has a very interesting history. And with that course, he really, the project was a lot more open-ended than it has been, I think, for any project in my educational career, but he showed us a lot of things. He talked to us about a lot of different things you can do. And then effectively he had us come up with our own startup idea and pitch him this proposal at the end of the course. So where some professors gave us a guideline of, in your final report, I want you to have A, B, C, D. Tim more gave us a whole bunch of ideas of stuff we could put in the report. And then he just said, create something and impress me, which was quite intimidating at the start, but it allowed us to be a lot more creative. And my group especially ended up doing really well with that, because he graded us more on, not that we had fulfilled a checklist, but that we had come up with something that had impressed him or given him an idea. So I quite enjoyed that. And then on top of it, as I said before, I wasn't super in love with the focus on digital marketing. The communications aspect really drew me towards this program. So I didn't think that I would like that course that much, but I really did. So that was a nice surprise. And especially with me being on the digital marketing team in my internship, it really opened my eyes to a whole bunch of different things beyond just setting up paid ads on Google and Facebook and whatnot. So that was definitely my favorite course.
All right, awesome. So at the beginning, you were saying that, you know, when you first started the program, you know, there were probably students who had a bit more experience. They had, like, you know, started marketing, and for you, you know, they really helped you to catch up, no, like in your learning curve. So what has been your experience with the ESEI community? So you know, what do you think about the ESEI student community that you form part of?
I found it to be really strong. I think that that is partially because you're in such small classes, so you all know each other. It's I don't know what kind of schools you guys have all gone to, but like I said, mine was quite big, so you didn't necessarily know anybody in your classes, where here you really form a sort of group and you're kind of all in this together. And also I think that it's something, I believe we only have one girl in our program who's even from Spain. Everybody else is international. So I found that there was quite a lot of energy, that everybody wanted to meet new people. They were here to try something new. And so everybody was kind of open to getting to know each other and making new friends and what have you. But I found it to be really strong and very helpful. Like I said, not only in the academic part, but also outside in the social part.
All right, awesome. That's great. Also, at the beginning, you mentioned that one of the reasons why you chose ESEI was because of its focus on project-based learning. So what have you thought so far about that sort of methodology?
I'm just seeing a comment from Tahir that he can't hear.
All right, sorry about that.
Can everybody else hear us?
Yeah, I can hear here.
I can hear you guys as well.
Okay. All right. So for those of you who can't hear, if you could just like increase the volume on your either if you're using a smartphone on your smartphone or on your computer, you should be able to the quality, the audio quality should be quite good, because I can also hear Maya perfectly. So it could be an issue with your device. So just check your audio settings and make sure that you have it on the highest. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So Maya, go ahead.
So for the project-based learning, I really enjoy it. I took an intro to marketing course when I was in my undergrad, and it was very test and exam focused, which I didn't find particularly helpful because, I mean, we all have access to the internet. There's no real reason why you need to memorize the 7 steps in the customer sales funnel, or you need to know for certain what PESTLE stands for. You more need to know how to use these and why you use these and such. so I don't find that exams help with that. I also am not a huge believer in exams in general. I think projects, you learn a lot more. It's less what you've been able to cram into your head the night before and more, do you actually know how to use these things? So I have really enjoyed the project-based methodology. I found that I learned a lot. I've definitely found that it's a little bit, you get what you get out of it, what you put into it kind of thing. So the more you take in from the lectures, the more you pay attention, the more involved you are, the better your projects are. And I mean, not just relating to grades, but also what you've learned how to do, like why you're using that pestle, what you're going to get out of it. Should you use it in the next project and not just like, oh, I know what pestle stands for. It's a lot more conducive to, I think, what we're trying to learn here, which is how to work in the field of marketing, which is a lot of teamwork and it is a lot of projects. It's not knowing what something is and being able to define it. So I think for the topics, it's really good. I've enjoyed it.
Okay, awesome. And what about your schedule and workload? How did you find that?
So right now,
Or how do you currently?
yeah. Right now it's a little bit crazy. I'm not gonna lie. My internship is about 40 hours a week. And lately I work for a digital company, and with the lockdown and with COVID, it's been blowing up as far as partnerships, and we're expanding. So we have a very small PR team. So it's been a lot of us running around like crazy. And then on top of that, timing wise, it kind of coincided with the end of some of my courses. So I was working on those projects. And then just this weekend, we had the first draft of our thesis due. So it's been a little bit insane now, but that's for me. Like I find that I work better when I have a lot of work to do. If I have a lighter schedule, then I tend to spend more time doing nothing. So the nice thing with the workload is that it is very flexible. I know some of my friends at ESEI are doing full-time internships. Some of them are doing part-time internships or freelancing, and some of them aren't working at all. And everybody's kind of found what works best for them. So it does leave you flexibility. And of course, then the onus is on you a little bit to self-regulate how much work you can do and what you're all getting involved in. But I think it's very much like you manage how much work you're doing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess there's a lot of like time management involved, and it's the same like everything, no? Like if you have a lot of things to accomplish, like you're in like work mode, and you know,
Exactly.
you just tend to focus on that. So yeah, totally understand. All right. So let's talk about the campus experience. So when you first arrived to ESEI, I mean, what did you think about the campus? And also tell us about the events. So campus and events. What did you think about the whole campus experience at ESEI?
I mean, the campus is partially why I chose ESEI, or maybe not why I chose it, but it definitely helped in my decision, because I went to, so for my undergraduate, I went to a very typical North American university campus, sort of like you see on TV, where it's almost like a whole community of university and you live on campus. So it is very much this feel of you're hanging out on campus, you're doing things there. And when I was looking at schools here in Europe, that's not as common. And especially a lot of them in Barcelona are like a couple floors in a building downtown. So ESEI is obviously smaller than my undergraduate university, but with having the whole building, with having the study area, with having the garden, it does have those capabilities as well. So especially when it was warm, when first semester started, most of the students would either like be there before or after class and would be hanging out in the garden, and you could all kind of hang out and chat, and especially at the beginning, get to know each other. And there were quite a lot of social events. I mean, some organized by the school and some just us outside of school. And there were also quite a lot of extra events that you could partake in. I went to a couple of them. So some of them with classes, like we went to a networking event and things like that. And then there were a lot more that were more specific into interests. Obviously, some of that has toned down a bit now. But I found that the social aspect has endured in a sense. Like I'm still in quite close contact with everybody from my class on WhatsApp and whatnot. So yeah, obviously I wish that things could have been open. We could be in the garden again right now, but that will definitely come back around.
For sure it will. For sure it will. Okay, and Maya, so you studied in Canada, you're from Germany, and now you're in Barcelona. I mean, I know that this whole social distancing, I guess, has sort of affected part of the Barcelona experience, but tell us, what has your Barcelona experience been like? What's been the best part of your being in the city?
It's overall, it's been really wonderful. Honestly, this lockdown is making me appreciate the city even more. I think because every time I step outside now, it's just getting nicer and nicer and more beautiful. I think my favorite part has been the energy. So I grew up in Toronto, and then I studied in Canada, and then I spent the last year in Germany, and I was in a smaller city, which was beautiful, but it was definitely very quiet. And here in Barcelona, there's always something going on, and some of that is a little bit overwhelming at times. Like I think sometimes you walk around and you want a bit more peace, but I found that you need to find your area. So when I moved here, I was in San Anthony, which is a very nice area. But I was there for a couple months, and now I'm living in Elborn, right by Arc de Triomphe, and I love it here. It's beautiful, and it makes me happy every time I step outside the door. But you talk to other people, and they've lived here, and they haven't liked it in Elborn, and they've been really happy in Gracia. So I think it's something that the city's quite diverse. So you experience a lot, and you kind of find your niche where you're happiest. So I think that's kind of been my favorite part is the city itself. I don't know if that really qualifies as an answer, but it is quite unique, Barcelona. So
yeah, I mean, totally. I also I would say I can understand that, because I came to Barcelona like in 2003, and I'm still here. So
yeah.
always something new, like to see and to experience, like every time. So I'm really happy that you've had an amazing experience. So yeah, that's awesome. All right, so Maya, let's move more into your current experience. So tell us about your current job, the company that you're working for as an intern, and your responsibilities.
So I am the digital marketing and communications intern at Opportunity Network, and Opportunity Network is a digital platform for CEOs and ultra high net worth individuals. So basically companies that have yearly revenue above 2.5 million, or individuals who have liquid assets above 2.5 million, and they have membership on this platform. They can post business deals anonymously and connect to them. So the company is decently young. It's about 6 years old, but it's been growing quite rapidly. And my role within the digital marketing and PR team, which is quite small, there are 5 of us on the team, is largely to do with writing content and managing PR. So right now, especially with COVID, we're signing a lot of new partnerships. Quite often the company signs partnerships with banks in order to onboard their members so that their members can use the platform. So with all these partnerships, I've been writing up the press releases. I also write member profiles, so articles focusing on what our members are doing, who they are, their companies, etc. And then I also manage the social media accounts.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's great. That's awesome. How easy was it for you to land this internship?
It was fairly easy. I mean, I will say I do have a huge advantage having native English because a lot of the tech companies here operate in English. So that definitely helped me. On the plus side, just as a note for everybody else, I was worried that I don't speak Spanish, that not having Spanish would be an issue. And it's really not, especially if you're looking at marketing companies, at tech-focused companies, because they pretty much all operate in English. But yeah, I saw the posting for actually a different internship at Opportunity Network. It was an account management internship, and it was posted on the ESEI board for open internships. And I applied, and I had 3 interviews in total, I believe. And I got the job, and the first job was in account management. So I was basically interning and assisting with one of their larger accounts of members, of North American members, and helping them with the platform. And obviously this wasn't exactly what I'm studying or what I'm looking to do, but I knew that I wanted to do an internship while I was here doing my master's, and I wanted some corporate experience, and I really liked the company. I went into the office, and they have right near Sagrada Familia, they have a big wide open office, and I liked the feel of the office. I liked the feel of the people, and the fact that it's a young company, which really means that the work that I'm doing has an impact. So I got that internship, and I was there for about 3 months. And then I saw on LinkedIn actually that they had just opened up another internship in the digital marketing department, which I read the job description, and I was like, well, this sounds exactly like what I want to do. So I spoke to my boss and asked if it would be possible to apply internally to switch, and they were totally good with that. And I applied. I had, I think, 2 interviews within that process, and then I moved into this internship position. So it was a little bit of a step-by-step process, but yeah, overall it was great. And then actually another ESEI student ended up taking over my old internship in account management, so that was kind of cool too.
Awesome. That's great. And you mentioned before, no, like one of the reasons why you wanted to change positions, no, was to have something more relevant to what you were studying. So how do you feel that this, I mean, or how would you say that the skills that you've learned at ESEI in the classroom, your classroom experience, like how have you been able to use that in your current job? Like, has it been relevant for you, what you studied at ESEI in your current position?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been quite hand in hand, actually. I think learning things in class, especially in the digital marketing course that I was mentioning, because it's a field where really things are changing quite rapidly, especially with not only algorithms on the platform, so what you want to be doing, but also the tools that are coming up to help you do that. So it was quite good within my team that I would learn about things from Tim, and then I could relay them to my team, like, did you know we can even do that with this tool? And that was perfect. And then also doing things at work really helped me with my projects back at school. So I would be doing something at work and learn how to do that, and then would apply that to my project. So it was quite cyclical, which was awesome.
Great. That's super awesome to hear. Perfect. So at this time, I know it's been like, you know, both of us having this dialogue, no? So I'm up to the rest of the participants here with us today. So does anybody have any questions for Maya? If you do, just unsilence your microphone, ask your questions, and put it on silence again. Okay?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm 18 years old and I want to go to bachelor's for Spain. And can I work and study while I'm studying?
That you can definitely do, Asadbek. That's something that we offer the opportunity for all of our students, both bachelor and master's level. I would say, why don't we, I sent a message to the chat board. So why don't you contact us? You can send me either a WhatsApp. I'm Simisola to Simisola to Joan. We have another colleague in the admissions department. Send us a message to our WhatsApp number that we have posted there, and then we can have a one-to-one session where we can discuss, you know, what exactly, you know, you're looking for, you know, and how our program relates to what you would like to do in the future. So that we can definitely have on a one-to-one conversation after that. So please send us a WhatsApp so that we can keep in contact with you and we can continue to answer your questions about the admissions in our programs. Okay?
Yeah, okay, I will contact you.
Great. Thanks, Asadbek, for your question.
Thank you. And what about visas? In Uzbekistan, I'm from Uzbekistan, and in Uzbekistan, it's hard to get visa for Spain.
So if you contact us through WhatsApp, we'll explain directly, you know, what you would need in order to process your student visa. We'll explain that. We also have a session next week where we'll be talking about our programs, admission requirements, visa requirements. So definitely make sure that you contact us through WhatsApp so that we can answer the questions that you have, and we can also invite you to the next session, which will be focusing on the admission requirements and procedures in order to come and study with us in Spain. Okay. The idea of today's chat is really to find out about Maya's experience and ask her any questions and advice from a student's perspective. No, for you to be able to get that student's perspective, you know, from this meeting today. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Great. Thanks, Asadbek.
I actually had a question as well. Just for Maya, you were saying that can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I was just wondering what made you
we can hear you. Go ahead.
What made you pick ESEI over the schools that you looked at in Amsterdam?
So for me, it was largely to do with the program itself. So a lot of the ones that I was looking at in Amsterdam were quite heavy on the digital side of marketing. And I wasn't only interested in learning about digital. Obviously, today in marketing, that's a big part of it. But I really like the communications aspect. And then honestly, the other part was I did a little bit of research into internships and the possibility for internships. And I read that in Amsterdam, it's quite competitive, where in Barcelona, it's a real hub for startups, especially tech startups. So there's a lot more demand for especially English speaking interns to help with these companies. So that sort of made up my mind for me.
All right, thank you.
Great, awesome question there, Jaron. Anyone else has a question that they'd like to ask Maya?
Me.
Hi, Marvin.
Hi, how are you? Everything fine?
We can hear you.
I have a question for Maya. How you doing, Maya? Everything well?
Everything's good. How are you?
No, everything is well. Listen, my first question is, what was the most challenging part for you, like when you engaged with this different culture, with a different atmosphere, being on a different place, on a different environment? What was the most challenging part for you? What did you find like difficult, really, you know, to actually cope with all that new experience?
It's a good question. I think especially now with everything going on with COVID, it is quite like mentally you're handling school, which is a lot of pressure, and you're doing a lot. And then it's also, I don't know, when you have moments when you're not sure what you're doing or you're a little bit lost, then you are away from home. So that's definitely not inconsequential. And I think especially for me, I don't speak Spanish. So when I'm out and about, I do definitely feel like a foreigner. But I think that for me, that's also part of the draw. I quite like being abroad. And the nice thing is that you step outside your door every day and you kind of feel like you are traveling, like you're on an adventure. It's not just at home doing the day-to-day. But I think that that's it's kind of a give and take. It's like the best part of it and also the toughest part of it. It all kind of depends on you and your personality and what you're looking for.
What about the weather?
I love the weather. So growing up in Canada, it gets really cold in the winter. And this year I was in Barcelona enjoying what I think the coldest we got was, I don't know, 8 degrees or something. Back home it was minus 25 or so.
Okay.
So I'm loving the weather.
Let me ask you one more question, but more related to your marketing course. I would like to know, you were saying earlier that you guys are you're more engaged into research. So when you guys do conduct your research, I would like to know the type of analysis that you guys use. Is it mostly based on primary data or secondary data?
It depends. So sometimes for projects, we've been given a situation where we had to build a marketing strategy for Nike's new Vaporfly shoes. So a lot of that was secondary data where we were pretending to be Nike and building the strategy, but obviously we don't have the inside details for Nike. So it was a lot of seeing what we could find and making assumptions and extrapolating from that. Other things like the digital marketing course where we were coming up with our own company, that was a lot more primary data because, I mean, then we have the same access to information as other people would starting a company. So it was a lot more doing in-depth interviews, doing questionnaires, ins and outs of the markets, that kind of thing. So it's really depended on the project.
Okay. My last question. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with the professors or with the lecturers. How is it like the day-to-day routine with the student? Is it just something that happens within class, or there is also other ways of communication whereby you guys engage in student? How does it work? How is it over there?
It's, I mean, so obviously it depends a little bit on the professor. And it's changed from when we were in class to now we're online. This semester we've had a lot more like shorter lectures, but then we've had outside meetings with our professors. So almost shorter times at one time, but then at multiple points. But even throughout my entire experience, some professors have, you know, given us their WhatsApp number and they've been in our WhatsApp group chat to discuss ideas with the projects. Other professors were more after class, we would speak to them about the project, but I found I haven't had a professor where, you know, I've asked to speak to them outside of class and they've said, no, that's not going to happen. So they are quite involved. And then some of them just are more like contact me on WhatsApp, message me, whatever, and others more want to schedule a meeting. So it's kind of dependent.
Okay, awesome. Does somebody
Okay,
else?
perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Marvin, for your questions. Does somebody else have questions for Maya?
Yeah,
Questions that they want to
just
ask about?
you. Just one small thing.
Yeah,
You
go ahead.
mentioned that the classes are quite small. Could you
Mhm.
give us a number of how many people are in a class?
So in my marketing communications class, this semester we're 20, last semester we were 23, I believe. And
All
I
right.
think we're one of the bigger programs. Some of the other ones are smaller.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Great. Does somebody else have a question that they'd like to ask Maya?
I have a question if no one else wants to go. Yeah. So Maya, as someone who selected Barcelona to start a relatively international career, how is it looking for you now that you've approached graduation and you have this really great internship? How is it going? Are they keen on extending that? Like, what's your next step for those of the students that are wondering about that aspect?
Yeah, for me, so I started out with a 6-month contract with the company, and we've extended that to go until I graduate. And right now, I'm speaking to them about turning that into a full-time position. So obviously they're a young company, so things aren't like, they have to make sure that they have budget, but they're quite keen to keep me on board, whether that's here in Barcelona or it's a digital company. So if I go back to Canada or go back to Germany or wherever. So that's been really great. Actually, it's worked out well for me.
That's really great. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Right. So if anybody has any additional questions that they'd like to ask, please do so now. Maya, it's been a pleasure to have you here, and thanks so much for sharing your experience. I'm happy to see that from when you decided to focus on marketing and choose ESEI, like as your destination for that, like you've been able to have access to all of these amazing opportunities, and also the potential to extend that to a full-time work contract that that you might even be able to do in Barcelona or from anywhere around the world. So it's amazing, and I'm really happy to hear that's really worked out for you. Like that's what we like, I think that's the heart of ESEI, and just these amazing opportunities that that you guys are able to have.
Yeah, and I think just to add one more thing, it really speaks to it being the heart of ESEI that I got the notification of the original account management opening because a former graduate of ESEI works there full time now, and she's still in contact with the administration, and she knew that the company was looking for an intern. And she said, hey, I went to ESEI. It's a great school. They have international students. We're an international company. We should send them an announcement for this internship opening. And that's why I was able to join the company. And now 2 more interns from ESEI are there. So it really does circle back, which I think has been, for me, an amazing part of having chosen ESEI.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. That's awesome to hear. So Maya, as we wrap up this session, do you have any advice that you'd like to share with the participants that we have today?
Yeah, I would say that you should come with a lot of energy, which sounds a little bit cliche, but just because of the way it's structured, and obviously this is a little bit different from bachelor's and master's, but it's not a class schedule where you're going to be in class all day. And I found that the students who just kind of came here to tick off all the boxes and get through the program, they're the ones who aren't as engaged and they aren't learning as much. And the ones who've really taken advantage of the flexibility that the schedule offers you, whether it's doing an internship like myself, or one of my friends has been or I suppose was traveling quite a bit around Spain and really taking in Barcelona, we're the ones who are really invested in the program and I think getting the most out of it. So if you do choose to come here, then I would say, you know, take a relaxing summer, get your energy up, and then get ready to kind of go full steam ahead for a year, or for the bachelor's. Obviously, it's a little bit longer, but to take advantage of how much flexibility this offers you, because it's rare. I mean, once you start working, you have a full day, and this kind of lets you do a lot more. So take advantage of that.